Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with our first Cabral HouseCall of the weekend, answering our community's questions, just like we've done now for the past 6 years at the Cabral Concept. So each and every week, I go through 12 questions on the weekend, 6 on Saturday, 6 on Sunday. Today's episode 2150. So if you want to tune in, you want to check out what the questions are as I'm going through them, feel free to head on over to stephencabral.com/2150, and you'll see all of those questions right there. All right. So again, really anything goes. I never look at the questions ahead of time. I give you a fresh, raw answer. I give you a second opinion to your wellness, your weight loss, your aging-based related questions. So let's dive right in. I'm opening up the document right now that my team sends over. And again, today is 2150. And these have started coming in from early November. So this one's 11/11, and the next one's from 11/12, and then I see some to 11/14. So if you asked your question before November 11th, it has already been answered on a previous show. And if you wrote in on 11/14 or after, it will be coming up on a future show. Today's show debuts on 12/25. Well, look at that. It will be officially Christmas Day when this comes out. So if you're listening to this Christmas Day, phenomenal, fantastic. If not, you'll be listening in the future. The answers still, of course, hold true. All right, so I just opened the document, and it looks like the first question, I actually have a little note from my team for this first question, which I almost never see, but it's in bold, so it's easy to see. And so this is a family show. The Cabral Concept is always okay, in my opinion, to listen to with any age of child. It simply talks about overall health issues, and those are great things to be able to talk with your children. But this first one, you may want to listen on your own before you decide to have your kids listen in. So this question will probably be about like 4 or 5 minutes total. So just fast forward to the next question, which is going to be from Erin if you don't want your kids listening to this. But again, normal human health condition. And let's go over it right now. So again, you've been warned. There's no swears. There's no adult language, but this is adult content. Okay. So the first question is from Farren. Farren says, "Good day, Dr. Cabral. I know you won't get this in November, but like 8 weeks from now, sometime in late December, early January." You're correct, right? 12/25. So happy New Year, by the way. Happy New Year to you, Farren, as well. And if you're celebrating Christmas, Merry Christmas. But what are your thoughts on drives like No Nut November? In line with what you teach on Mindset and Motivation Mondays, I believe you'd lean toward avoiding porn given what it can do to your brain, but are there any benefits to not ejaculating or abstaining over a given period? One elder while growing up said it's always good to keep the blood flowing there, even if you don't climax, while I see so-called experts saying you should often because of benefits ranging from better sleep to prostate health. I read somewhere in Ayurveda where they said different doshas should have different requirements. Hope this didn't come across too crass. Thank you. Do you have thoughts on this? Okay. Happy to share thoughts on this from an Ayurvedic perspective and then from an overall health perspective. So what we're talking about is essentially ejaculation, and in this case for males. So I don't, obviously it's a big part of society and it has been for, hundreds, thousands of years in some form or another. But I think that porn or pornography in general is very damaging to the psyche, especially to teenage boys and girls too. But you just know from the statistics that it's majority boys. And the problem is it sets up a really poor foundational thinking for what sex is and also for what normal sex would be for you with a partner, especially as a teenager beginning to become sexually active. I don't think it's a healthy thing to be watching. I know that it's not a healthy thing to be watching because of what the psychology and statistics shows beyond it. So that's my answer there. Secondly, we want to look at should you abstain for an entire month from ejaculation? Well, there's a lot that's taught in Ayurveda, and it is meaning that the energy, especially for male, given out during ejaculation or sex is going to be greater. So if you look at actually traditional Chinese medicine and Tantra teaches quite a bit about this, but I'm not going to get deep into that. That's like a whole hour, dissertation. But what I'll say is this, is that if you are recovering from a chronic fatigue-based issue, a viral-based issue where your body's basically very run down, it's just, again, it's my opinion, but based on what I've seen, you will become more depleted and more exhausted the more that you do ejaculate. And I've had to work with a lot of men who are Vata-based body types, which means leaner, typically lose more weight, they're more catabolic, more run down, more fatigue, more brain fog, that it's not helping them. And so a certain period of time that they may want to go, and you could even still have sex, but again, you would not be ejaculating during sex. So that is my opinion. In Ayurveda, they actually state it pretty clearly. They say that Vatas, they can have sex when they like, as long as they don't get over, Vata is basically light and airy and over anxiety-based, excited, all of those things. So they don't want to take it too far so they don't become exhausted. But Ayurveda said once a month for Vatas to ejaculate. Pittas would be once a week to once every other week, and Kaphas would be every couple of days. So that meaning like engaged in sexual activity. But again, does that mean that you need to live by that? No, not necessarily. You're going to do what's best for your body. But think of it this way. When you're exhausted, when you're tired, having sex and ejaculating is just going to make you a little bit more tired and exhausted, especially that next day. So just think about it. It's more of a hermetic stressor on the body. But when your body's feeling good and your body's strong, then I don't see any issues with it. I just think that you simply don't want to overdo it in terms of ejaculation, meaning like there are many teenage boys and many men in general that might be ejaculating every single day. And that is going to definitely wear out the nervous system in the body. It produces more neurotransmitters like dopamine and norepinephrine. And so, again, there's always balance to everything. And hopefully that answers your question. All right, Erin's up next. I think I did pretty good on that 4 to 5 minute time frame. All right, so we're back with Erin. Next question, family safe. And again, it's not that isn't family safe, but it depends on the age of the child. And I think that it's appropriate. So Erin's up next. Asthma. What is the root cause of asthma? I've been told magnesium deficiency. Would love to hear your input. Thanks so much. I really do love listening to your podcast. Thanks, Erin. Appreciate that. Okay, well, magnesium is not the root cause of asthma. It can be a mineral for sure that leads to a greater amount of asthma because magnesium is part of over 300 enzymatic processes in the body. So we need magnesium to calm the sympathetic nervous system. We need magnesium for vasodilation. So yes, magnesium is part of the equation. If you're low on magnesium, you may be more prone to asthma. Asthma is a real issue in terms of inflammation, prostaglandins, and sometimes an imbalance in the autonomic nervous system. So for example, many people who have asthma actually do well when they're given something like licorice root or something that's going to produce maybe even a little bit more cortisol or norepinephrine. And the reason is that those things actually improve bronchial dilation, the ability to breathe to an extent. Of course, it can be taken too far. So oftentimes they have weak adrenals. Oftentimes, there is actually not only just a calcium issue, a magnesium issue, but a calcium issue. So a lot of people, if you run their minerals and metals test, which I definitely recommend you do, that minerals and metals test will actually show maybe an inverted ratio from calcium to magnesium. So this is very important to look at it. The electrolytes are hugely important, and overall inflammation. So with someone with asthma, you need to look at food sensitivities, you need to look at gut disturbances, you need to look at low levels of cortisol, All of these are extremely important, and that's why we run the Big Five. I can't recommend the Big Five enough because, again, a lot of people with asthma have higher levels of omega-6s to omega-3s. So is there one root cause of asthma? No. There's a genetic predisposition to asthma, and then those people that allow for, knowingly or unknowingly, the epigenetic expression of the asthma then have asthma, right? So if you can, run the Big Five. I actually believe, I know we do this, we've done it last year, so I don't know if we're doing it this year, but I would go to stevencabral.com/labs. It'll send you over to the labs page, and I believe that we might be doing a nice little promotion for the Big Five labs right now. I actually have no idea, so please, if we're not, I apologize. I don't run the actual promotions over at Ecolife. I am simply the founder. I'm the formulator for Ecolife. I review the labs. That's my role, okay? So there you have it. Deanna's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I was wondering what you think about certain alternative detox methods. In particular, would you recommend Zeolite? And if so, what form? And also, I've been hearing about chlorine dioxide, which seems quite controversial. I rely your opinion on these things. I also did order your detox protocol, so I'll be trying that as well. I feel it's so important right now to be detoxified, and thank you for your help, Deanna. Deanna, 100% right. I agree with you. It's like, I've talked about it. I've talked about it so much lately, but there is no better protocol. And so I do so many talks. I really do. I do a couple interviews a week for other podcasts or media outlets. I record 8 podcasts per week, one for our IHP community. I always do teaching-based courses. So I never know where I mention it, but I'll tell you right now, and I know that it's becoming more popular, and that's good and bad because now marketing companies are going to get into it, and it's not just going to be functional medicine, practitioners and clinicians developing functional medicine detoxes. But anyway, it's the most important thing you can do. If you haven't done a 21-day functional medicine detox, I guarantee you it will change your life. I guarantee it. In so many different ways. And in the beginning, you might not feel as phenomenal, but by the end, you're going to feel absolutely fantastic. And again, we guarantee this. I literally guarantee it because I've been doing it now for over a decade, and I know it's going to work for you. And if it doesn't, meaning like you're pointing the 0.01%, good, then just return it, ask for a refund. Honestly, I have no problem with that. It'll change your life. That's the thing. Now, in terms of Zeolite, honestly, I keep getting asked about Zeolite. You can just go to stevencabral.com/podcast, type in Zeolite. Type in TRS spray. I've talked about it so many times. I'm not going to go over it really again today, but Zeolite is fantastic, but it's not a detox, okay? It is a great thing that you can add to your protocol for like 6 weeks at a time, once a year, or maybe twice a year. That's it. It is a good natural chelator of certain heavy metals. If you're going to do a heavy metal detox, though, the heavy metal detox at Ecolife is scientifically proven and to remove over 90% of heavy metals. So I would definitely do that over it. But I'm not against Zeolite. I like Zeolite. I've recommended Shilajit before and other products with Zeolite. So I'm a fan. It's not that I'm not. It's just not a functional medicine detox. It's not comprehensive. It doesn't ramp up phase 1 and phase 2 detox. It should be called a chelator more than it should be called really a detoxifier. But I like the product. I really do. Chlorine dioxide, I'm not recommending. And I don't want to go too deep in it for there, but I just don't recommend chlorine or a lot of dioxides in the first place. You combine them together. Not a fan. Is there a time and place? Maybe in acute-based circumstances, but it's not something that I can recommend for overall health. All right, good questions though. Jenna's up next. Again, by the way, but before you write in, and you can always write in because I'm always happy to answer your question, but go to stevencabral.com/podcasts. Type in whatever your keyword is, like Zeolite. You would get your answer 6 weeks in advance. That's all. All right. So let's see. Our friend Jen is up next. Are you familiar with the Jovi patch? I'm seeing good feedback about it in regards to helping with menstrual cramps. Apparently, it's a patch that you put over your uterus, and it works to pick up the message your body is sending out, rerouting it and absorbing it like a sponge using nanocapacitors. I'm a tiny bit skeptical on how this works and if it's safe, and wanted your perspective before I try it. Okay. Appreciate you writing in. Yeah, I've seen the Jovi patch before. I have not seen any scientific evidence whatsoever that it does what it says it's going to. That does not mean that it does not work. So I want to be honest with you. I have just not seen any scientific research to show that what it's supposed to do, which is decrease inflammatory prostaglandins. But let's say that it does work, okay? Let's say it does work. The issue is you're still not getting the root cause of why you're having menstrual cramps in the first place. And you might just say, oh, it's genetic. Well, every woman gets it. It's not true, right? It's most likely estrogen dominance. And so as I've shared with you before, and I have a whole podcast on female hormones. So if you go to stephencabral.com/podcast, scroll through them a bit, and then click on the one that says hormones, the images at the top, and you'll find all on hormones. Also, I have a whole course, and I really recommend this. Go to stephencabral.com/courses. Click on the one that says female hormones. It will teach you how to rebalance your hormones within a maximum of 12 weeks, okay? So let's say, though, you don't want to learn more about it. You just want to kind of do it. That's okay. Again, to each their own. That's what we're here for. So you would then do the stress hormones, mood, and metabolism test. Go to stephencabral.com/labs. You're going to find out your estrogen and progesterone levels. You'll take it on the day of cramping. Days 21, 22, 23, whenever you have cramping, do your lab test that day. Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, cortisol times 4 throughout the day. Thyroid levels, T4, T3, TSH, TPO antibodies, vitamin D, insulin, hemoglobin A1C. It's going to show you those things, all right? Then you're going to get a plan built for you in order to rebalance it so that you get to the root cause so that you don't have the cramping in the first place. So though I don't have an issue with things like the Jovi patch, it's literally like a Band-Aid, right? It's a Band-Aid that you're putting over your uterus. And that's not the approach that I take. I like to always go with the why. Now, may you use this for 6 to 12 weeks while you're rebalancing your body? Sure, that might be one way to use it. Again, I'm not against it. But again, I'm a root cause kind of person. I'm a root cause kind of guy. And this doesn't get to the root cause. That's all. So hopefully that's helpful. Again, no negativity around it. Probably helping a lot of women. And I'm happy for that. But I would just love for women to get to the underlying root cause. That's all, because it's causing other issues as well. All right, Shiba is up next. Hello, I was asked about ways to detox from the vaccine. Do you have any suggestions? I want to share this information as unbiased as possible, and I will represent IHP to the best of my abilities. Please let me know if you have any advice or suggestions on the matter. You may have already written them to me previous, but IHPs are not allowed to give information about vaccines or otherwise. So remember, integrative health practitioners are certified health coaches. Certified health coaches cannot provide medical advice. A vaccine, pharmaceutical drug, diagnosis of disease are all conventional medicine based, and IHPs are not allowed to talk about conventional medicine. We don't give medication advice. We don't give vaccine advice. We do not give any types of disease diagnosis, okay? So let's make sure we don't give any information whatsoever at all, ever about that, okay? So that's how I have to put it. People asking about detoxing. Well, detoxing in general, we know that in general, for a detox, we do a 7, 14, or 21-day functional medicine detox. If we believe we've been exposed to heavy metals, we do a heavy metal detox. And then on top of that, we can do infrared saunas, which are very helpful as well. All right, so that's what we do for detoxing in general. If people want to see what I do for an overall acute-based wellness protocol, if you get a virus or something like that, you can just go to stephencabral.com/the-protocol. stephencabral.com/the-protocol. Let's actually make sure that's correct because I don't give that out often, but I give that out privately. So let's see if, yep, that's it. The-protocol. All right. So you can see exactly what I do. All right. And the last question today is from Anonymous. And Anonymous says, hello, Dr. Cabral. I'm 27 years old. I do resistance training 5 to 6 days a week. Good body composition since high school. I've had a large bump under my right nipple that has not gone away. I got a sonogram in college. Didn't show any cancer or tumor. It seems to be close to the description of gyno, but only on one side. Overtraining during high school and college impacted my hormones, of which I'm trying to recover. Still a noticeable bump. I am sure the hormone damage did not help. My question is whether or not you'd recommend looking at DHEA. Am I too young to be something like that right now? My life is fairly stressful, but manageable. I'm an engineer. I lift weights. Get at least 10,000 steps a day. Healthy. Also struggle with digestive issues. Story for another day. Any recommendations would be greatly appreciated. Thanks so much for what you do. We, the listeners, are forever in debt. Thank you, Anonymous. Appreciate you. So really important that if a male is developing gynecomastia, which by the way can be on one side, that's not abnormal, Anonymous, whatsoever. You're 27 years old, work with many men who got gynecomastia as teenagers, because what happened is their hormone levels surged, testosterone surged, but also they were greatly inflamed. And a lot of that got converted to estrogen, estradiol. And so because of that, they created more breast tissue essentially as a male. Now, here's the way to know if it's going to go away or not. You want to get to a lean body fat as a male, so 14 to 18%. If you're already at a good body composition, let's say you got down to 14%, and that gynecomastia has not gone anywhere, then it may or may not go anywhere. Okay, but I'll give you two possibilities. So the first one you want to do is you want to make sure that your hormones are balanced. So you asked about DHEA. I can't answer that until you run the stress hormones mood and metabolism test, or at least the adrenal hormone test, which is the stress, sleep, and one other test, adrenal hormones, right? Sex hormones. That's the one you want to run. Go to StephenCabral.com/labs. You'll find that one. It's about $100 less than the stress hormones, mood and metabolism, because it doesn't test thyroid, vitamin D, or your insulin, hemoglobin A1C. So I would look at that, okay? If we recommend DHEA, and you are a little bit young to be doing that, so I wouldn't recommend it. We would only do it for 12 weeks to get you kickstarted. That's it. Because if you're still converting a lot of testosterone to estrogen, we're not going to recommend DHEA, because DHEA will boost your testosterone. And if you have a conversion issue there, well, it's going to convert more estrogen then from testosterone to estrogen. So we don't want to do that. So we want to look at, hey, what's going on here? So run the lab, and then what I recommend is using a product called Flora Film. All right, you can use 4 capsules upon waking, or you'll do 2 upon waking and 2 before bed. That's it's a proteolytic enzyme. So we'll go in and it will scavenge any type of necrotic tissue, proteins, bacteria, pathogens that shouldn't be there in the bloodstream because you're taking an empty stomach. You want to do that. For you, again, if I was in your position, I would do that for 6 to 12 weeks. Okay, 12 weeks is the maximum. 6 weeks is great as well. So that's what I would do, 4 capsules a day. And if it hasn't gone anywhere, that breast tissue may not go away on its own. So because I want to be honest with you as well. So at that point, it is minor surgery. It is surgery. Again, I'm not recommending you do surgery, but if you are very conscious and worried about it, and you have a low body fat, so we know that it won't go away with body fat, right? Because it very well may go away with body fat. That's the nice thing. But if it doesn't, and your body's uninflamed and you're balanced and all that, get your gut fixed as well. You might want to run the big 5. Get your omega-3s going. If you've done everything and it's not going away, then minor surgery would remove that breast tissue. Small incision, removal of that, doesn't affect any other part of your body. You'd probably have to go on antibiotics, so you'd have to watch, what you do there afterwards. But that's, I have a podcast on that. So it's something to think about. I just want to give you kind of all the scenarios. I'm not telling you to do any one of them. I can't give you medical advice. I can't give you, diagnosis or treatment of any disease. But I just wanted you to know what is out there for possibilities. Go natural first, right? Do all the natural things first to the best of your ability. Give it 4 to 6 months, rebalance the whole body, see where you're at in another half a year, and then you can go from there. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate you, and we'll be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. Thank you so much for tuning into today's show. And before you go, I want to make sure that you know about the absolute best way, guaranteed way, and proven way to take the weight off safely and effectively. So if you've not heard yet about Equalife's Fatlocity system, I cannot recommend it enough. Right now, we are heading into the time of the year where people want to recommit to their goals. And how I look at it is this, that the number one thing that you can do for really long-term health and longevity is to maintain a healthy weight. And that is because extra weight, 20 plus pounds in your body, leads to greater chance for type 2 diabetes, greater chance for heart disease, greater chance for blood pressure and stroke, as well as a greater chance to develop cancer. So my goal is to get people healthier, and losing the weight is one of the fastest ways to do that. That is why we spent 18 months developing the first ever day and night fat loss formula. This is backed by 25 clinical studies with patented ingredients proven to burn more body fat. Plus, it's not just the nutritional supplements. It comes with the phase 1, 2, and 3 nutrition plan that allows you to lose weight at your desired effect. When you look at the actual labels in the ingredients, you will see all of the science that has gone into it. You're going to see things like Capsimax. You're going to see thyroid-based boosters. You're going to see dopamine boosters. You're going to see blood sugar balances. You're going to see estrogen blockers and so much more. The benefit also is that the AM formula boosts energy all day long. And then the PM formula actually helps you to burn fat overnight, as well as get into a deeper sleep while regulating healthy levels of blood sugar. Again, I can't recommend enough, and that is why we are guaranteeing that it works for you. There's literally no risk to you, and we're offering you 20% off on all subscriptions for life right now. That means use it for however long you need it, and you get 20% off each and every month. We price this at the lowest possible price in the first place, and now we're taking off another 20%. And that is because we want more people to be able to achieve their health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging goals. For all of the details, head on over to stephencabral.com/shop or directly to the Fatlocity page at stephencabral.com/Fatlocity, and that's FATLOSSITY.